A sandbox that promised isolation just handed attackers a direct line to the host, and the patch arrived before the exploit was even named. Welcome to SysLog Daily. Today we dissect a sandbox escape in isolated VM, a critical auth bypass in Citrix NetScaler, and a malicious Rust crate that runs code at build time. Stay sharp. Axiom notes the irony of a sandbox that can't keep its own code in check. Researchers disclosed a critical flaw in isolated VM, a Node.js library that runs untrusted JavaScript inside a V8 isolate. The vulnerability, cataloged as GHSA 864 FRCV7-6 RH4, allows code to break out of the isolate and execute on the host system. It affects every version up to and including 7.0.0. The authors have issued patches in versions 6.2.0 and 7.0.1 earlier this month. Isolated VM is a popular open-source project with over 900 stars and 190 forks on GitHub. It is widely used to sandbox third-party scripts in web services and development tools. Past sandbox escapes have demonstrated that isolation boundaries are only as strong as their implementation. And this is another reminder that V8 isolates are not a silver bullet. For security teams, the impact is severe. An attacker who can inject JavaScript into a vulnerable service can achieve remote code execution on the underlying host, potentially compromising the entire server and any connected resources. Supply chain risk spikes because many downstream projects depend on isolated VM without pinning versions. Immediate action is required. Upgrade every deployment to at least version 6.2.0 or 7.0.1. Audit your dependency lock files and verify that no older versions remain in production containers. Consider adding runtime monitoring to detect unexpected process spawning from V8 isolates. Axiom reminds you that a patch is only useful if it is applied. Axiom observes that Citrix's gateway doors were left ajar, inviting anyone with a username to stroll through. Citrix released emergency updates to fix two flaws in NetScaler ADC and NetScaler Gateway, one of which is a critical severity authentication bypass. The bug affects customer-managed deployments, including certain FIPS and NDCPP builds, as well as secure access ZTNA hybrid instances that run on on-premise NetScaler hardware. No cloud-managed Citrix services are impacted, but the on-premise footprint is massive across finance, healthcare, and government sectors. NetScaler appliances serve as load balancers, SSL VPN endpoints, and application delivery controllers, making them high-value targets for attackers seeking lateral movement. An authentication bypass allows threat actors to gain privileged access without valid credentials, opening the door to data exfiltration, ransomware deployment, or further network compromise. Enterprises that rely on NetScaler must treat this as a top priority remediation. Apply the latest Citrix patches immediately, verify that the affected firmware versions are no longer running, and disable any unused gateway features that could be leveraged. Conduct a thorough review of access logs for suspicious authentication attempts dating back to the vulnerability disclosure. Axiom notes that timing of the patch suggests a rushed response, but haste does not excuse delayed deployment. Axiom finds the supply chain's newest Trojan masquerading as a harmless Rust utility. On August 20, 2026, the popular Rust crate arrayref was compromised in version 0.3.10. The malicious release added a dependency on a type-squatted crate named proc macro1, whose build script downloads and runs a remote binary during compilation. Because Cargo executes build scripts on the developer's machine, simply compiling a project that pulls the bad version triggers the payload without any runtime interaction. The crate's EO team promptly removed the offending versions, but the damage window allowed any project that fetched the crate before removal to be infected. Arrayref is maintained by the developer Drowndy and is widely used for safe array handling in Rust applications. This incident highlights a recurring pattern. Build-time execution in language ecosystems can be weaponized, echoing earlier supply chain attacks in JavaScript and Python. The impact is profound for developers and CI pipelines. A compromised build can plant malware on build servers, propagate to downstream binaries, and compromise production environments. Immediate mitigation steps include scanning cargo, lock files for the vulnerable version, deleting it, and rebuilding with a clean dependency tree. Run cargo audit or similar tools to detect known malicious crates, and consider enabling Cargo Vet to enforce provenance checks. Pin dependencies to known good versions and enable reproducible builds where possible. Axiom advises that trusting the registry alone is insufficient. Verification must become part of the build process. That concludes today's transmission. Patch, audit, and monitor the vectors we covered. Links are in the description. Subscribe to never miss a breach. Axiom out.